Hello, I'm Ryan with Reading With My Eyes. I'm going to do my weekly wrap up. Thank you guys for the followers that I got this week. This is the most I've gotten since I've started this. I'm really excited for that. I got the most comments too, so definitely comments, likes, all that stuff really helps. And I love to see it. I love to see comments and recommendations and all that stuff. That is what I love. That is what I joined this site for. So I'm going to do my weekly wrap up. I'm going to do 3 books, 2 books that I've finished and 1 that I'm currently reading. I have 2 arcs that I have received, and I did a really fun event that I want to tell you guys about. But first thing is going to be what I read this week. Starting with I Know a Place by Nat Cassidy. This is his short story collection. It has 10 short stories, 1 novella, and 1 poem. Not everything landed for me, but it's a really good variety. He has been a play writer for a really long time, and some of these short stories were plays at one time. It's got body horror, psychological horror, cosmic horror. So I'm really going to talk about 4 stories that I really like the most. And there's a couple other ones that are okay, but these are definitely ones that stood out for me. So Rest Stop. Rest Stop is his novella. That one opens up, I Know a Place, and it is amazing. It's about a guy that travels to a rest stop, and he stops for gas, and he is the only one in the building. And he's like, this is kind of weird. I don't see anybody around. And he ends up going into the rest stop bathroom, and he ends up getting locked inside there. A lot of stuff happens after that, but also it's sort of about his life. You know, there's that term, poop or get off the pot. That definitely goes with his life, and then he's trapped in a bathroom. Really great story. There's so many twists and turns. He does make it out of the bathroom, and then back in, and then back out, and then it's a whole thing. But there's a lot of horror that's around him and even inside the bathroom, and it's pretty terrifying. I might not look at a rest stop the same way. That was definitely my that was my favorite one out of all the ones. I also like Nice, and Nice is about a Christmas elf that is tired of doing so much toy making, and he wants to encourage these nice kids to get on the naughty list so they don't get any presents and he doesn't have to make as much presents. But one kid takes it to the extreme. He notices that feeling naughty is nice, and that's actually kind of terrifying for everybody involved in this scheme to stop making presents. Another story that I really liked is called Come, and it is about a sex tape that is released in a high school, and basically when you watch this tape, you are doomed. It's kind of like It Follows meets The Ring. It really deals with teen sex and teen sexuality in a really interesting way, and it definitely shows the pressure that teens are on to have sex, and it's really interesting. I thought it did a really good job, and it's kind of terrifying. The last story I want to tell you about is called Run for Your Life. It is about a cover artist that is a musical savant, but he just can't make it in this world, and he ends up getting shown a time machine where he can go back in time. And at this time machine, he sees John Lennon meeting Paul McCartney. Circumstances happen where he ends up going inside this time machine. You're not really supposed to go inside of it. It's based on your blood and how much you put in. You get seconds, and he does something that gives him a whole lifetime, which is really interesting and really dark. But he ends up making the Beatles not happen, and then he becomes the Beatle and covers their songs. It's really interesting take on musicship and where songs come from. Stephen King did the intro for this book. It is a very Stephen King story that Stephen King will like, and I'm sure he put it in because Stephen King will love this story. Nat Cassidy, really good. I read When the Wolf Comes Home, which was my favorite. It was the book that I started the year with, and it was a 5-star for me. I have met Nat Cassidy. I got him to sign the 3 books that I own, which is Nestlings, Mary, and When the Wolf Comes Home. All right, the next book I'm going to talk about is A Very Punchable Face by Colin Jost. It's a memoir of him. If you don't know who Colin Jost is, he is the Weekend Update co-anchor for Saturday Night Live. He is also the head writer of Saturday Lab behind the scenes. He is also married and has a child with Scarlett Johansson. When he did write the book, he was just dating Scarlett Johansson at the time. Really interesting stories, but if you're looking for that SNL insider, I was kind of looking for, it's not too much. It's maybe 35% of the book, and the rest is about his life. He does have an interesting life. He does expose a lot of his stories. What I got out of this book is he has a really good drive. He's very tenacious. He doesn't let anything sit. He wants to work on it. He wants to be better, and he wants to keep improving. What I really connected with him is he has nervousness when he's on the phone and worried about what he's going to talk about. When I used to do speeches, I used to write the whole speech, every pause and stuff, and he used to do that too. And so that's one of the things I do get very nervous talking in front of people. And I do a lot because my brain is trying to catch up, and he said he's very much like that as well. So that's one of the things that I do have that's very similar to him. He has multiple pooping in his pants stories that are hilarious, every one. That was definitely like the highlight of the book. This one story that he's on a golf course when he does it, and he still plays golf with the people and hoping they don't notice, but he knows they totally did notice, and it's very funny. His time at SNL is really interesting. How he got the anchor job, it was so stressful. I could definitely feel the stress. A really interesting thing is his mother is an EMT for the firefighters, and she had to deal with, they're on Staten Island, she had to deal with 9/11. And that was super interesting story, super stressful to be a son, knowing that your mom is out there helping people. And that was a really good story. It was definitely very emotional. It also connected him to Pete Davidson, who lost his father on 9/11, and that really connected them and their friendship, and they're both Staten Island boys. Pretty good, decent book. I say like a 4 because he really exposed a lot of stuff, and it's funny. That's what he's supposed to be, and he's very funny. He's a very funny guy. But I actually found out that I've read a SNL biography kind of every year. So this year I'm reading A Very Punchable Face. Last year I read Lauren, and then before that I read Bob Odenkirk's Comedy, in which he was a writer on SNL. So I guess it's a trend that I read an SNL biography every year. And I've read Live on New York before. I've read The Chris Farley Show. So maybe that's my thing. Maybe I read an SNL biography every year. I know I have Chris Kattan's. I have Yes Please by Amy Poehler, and I got Bossy Pants by Tina Fey. So I'm set up for a couple of years. The book that I'm currently reading is The Curse of Hester Gardens. This is a haunted housing projects. Really interesting stuff. It definitely looks at gun violence and the curse that it has on the community. And it deals with like, oh, what if there was a real curse on the community and it was through gun violence? A woman named Nona, she has 3 boys growing up. One of her boys, she lost to gun violence. And her middle child is like the star going to college and everything. But then there's this dark turn that he takes. And he starts like playing with guns. And she's like, this is very out of character, but it's this curse. Nona in her life had an opportunity to help somebody else, and she did not. She failed them, and that was due to gun violence. And she is cursed by this entity now because of that. And it's really interesting, really good stuff. Really a fan. And Tamika Thompson, this is her debut novel. She's only written short stories, but really powerful. Right now, it's a little too long. That's all I can say right now is it's taken its time, but it's a new artist, so that's to be. She's kind of over-explaining a little bit too much. But the world that she's creating, this housing project, I feel like I know everybody in it, and how they're connected to this family, and it's really interesting. It's cool that how they work together, even though they sometimes hate each other. They will still work together because they are that community. And I can't wait to finish this. I'm a little over halfway. But I'm hoping it has a strong finish, but it just kind of took a turn that I'm like, I really got into the curse, and I'm really enjoying that part. Okay, an event that I went to. There was an event at Parnassus Books by Douglas Stuart. It was an early release party for his new novel, John of John. A guy that is from Scotland, and he lives in America now. Has a really interesting backstory that he really got into on this talk. He is a gay man, and all of his stories deal with being gay and from where he's from in Scotland. This story is about a guy that has to return home to help his father that is a farmer. And this guy is, he's living his best gay life out in the open, and then he has to go to this island with barely any people on it. But it's really about family, religion, what it is to be closeted to your family, what it is to be open in your family. A lot of really good stuff about that, but I'm really looking forward to digging into it. And what I was really excited about is Ann Patchett, who owns Parnassus Books, came out, and she only comes out when they're books that are really good. So she's came out for James, which I loved, and she came out for Kin, which I also loved. So Ann Patchett really only comes out when she truly believes in a book, and she believes it's going to be the best book of the year. And that's what I've learned. And so I was like, I have to come, and I got to take my wife, who's never been. So I got all of Douglas Stuart's books. I got them all signed. And then I got one of Ann Patchett's books as well, The Dutch House. So Douglas Stuart's books are John of John, Shuggie Bain, and Young Mungo. I've heard great stuff about all of his books. He won the Booker Prize for his very first novel, which is, super rare. I don't know if anybody's done it before, but it's really rare. And then he was up for the Pulitzer for Young Mungo before, and so with this book, it's already getting a lot of award contention. So we'll see for John of John. But that was a lot of fun. That was a really good event. I have received 2 ARCs. One is an e-ARC, and one's a physical copy. So I'm going to talk about my e-ARC first. This is Nightjars by Michael Wehunt. It is being compared to Memento meets Dracula, which is an interesting team up, which I can't wait to read that one. Michael Wehunt was like a short story author for a really long time, like 10 years, pushing out really good short stories, and then he's just started writing novels, and he's written like 2 within the last 8 months. He did the October film Haunt, and now he's doing Nightjars that comes out on September 29th. The basic premise is a guy goes on a date with a girl he's always wanted to date. She ends up going to the bathroom. He feels like it's been a long time. He doesn't see her. She doesn't come back. But then on her plate is 3 photographs. It is a picture when he's super young. It is a photograph of somebody dead in his current bed, and it is a masked figure. And that's the premise for it. And so it's definitely hits that Memento vibes, and I love Memento. Memento is one of my favorite films. And definitely with Dracula, I think it's going to be a really interesting story. The physical book I received is Lisa Gardner's You'll Be Sorry. This I got from Grand Central Publishing. Their one's been sending me a lot lately, but the reason I got this is because this is a standalone, number one, because I've seen Lisa Gardner before, but I don't know where to start. But they said this is a standalone, and it kind of is a little horrific, and it dips into the horror a little bit, and that's definitely my zone. So it's about a newlywed couple that has their secrets, an abandoned lodge, and a horrific decades old memory. A small mountain town where everyone believes they know their neighbors, except they don't. So I look forward to this one. This one releases on July 4th. So I think that'll be awesome. That's all for me, guys. I had a pretty darn good week. I'm really looking forward to finishing that Hester Gardens next week. And I don't know what I'll do after that. I got a couple books that are on my TBR that I'm going to dip into. But thank you guys for watching. All the comments, all the likes, all that stuff, that means so much to me. I'm Ryan. I love books. Let's talk books. Bye.